Next, Bill Bogart.
I stand to speak in support of the confirmation of the nomination of Farah Najarian and in opposition to the motions to appeal and the motion to the substitute motion. It would be unprecedented for this body not to affirm the nomination that has been submitted by the northern sector. And it would be done, as best I can tell, to punish Mr. Najarian for his thoughtful and firm support of a particular issue which is of great importance to the Los Angeles County and specifically to the north section of the county. I've been serving on the Gold Line Foothill Extension Authority for nearly 8 years. And so I know from personal experience sitting in on all those meetings, participating in the debates, and reading the minutes, that he has been a strong supporter of the Gold Line, which is one of our priorities in the North Sector. He was chairman of the Metro Board following the passage of Measure R, when the Construction Authority was working through details with Metro about the project funding agreement. During those somewhat tenuous negotiations, it was Chairman Najarian who was a staunch supporter of the Gold Line project. He took countless hours out of his day to make sure that the Foothill Extension project would move forward. He kept faith with those who supported the project, as so many people purport to do, and told the Construction Authority numerous times that he would, quote, get it done, unquote. And he did. I want to thank you, Laura, for your leadership during this period and for your continued support of the project, and strongly support you for nomination for confirmation this evening.
Next, Jan Suhu. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes, you are. I think I can probably be heard if I just stand here. My name is Jan Suhu. I do have standing here. I am a member of the public that you all are supposed to be representing. I'm from the city of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, which is a North County, San Fernando Valley sector city. Since December, I've been outraged at what's been going on by the efforts of a few people to silence the voices of my sector. We chose a representative to bring before this group for ratification, and that should be happening. I've examined the last 11 years worth of minutes of this group, and never has an unopposed candidate ever been denied ratification. Not only for the MTA board, but for any of the boards that you all are responsible for. Never. So to have this happen now is clearly an effort to silence Mr. Najarian for the things that Mayor Bogart just told you about, his efforts, his actions on behalf of his constituents. I'm outraged, disgusted, and I urge you all to vote for Mr. Najarian's ratification tonight. Thank you.
Next, Richard Snyder.
Good evening. My name is Richard Schneider. I'm the mayor of South Pasadena. And I think this is a very bad precedent. A very bad precedent for an unopposed nominee to not be ratified. As you just heard, in the last 11 years, it has never happened. It has never happened for any board in Los Angeles County. And what it seems to me is a matter of home rule. It should not be one sector's cities interfering with another sector's nomination. So I rise in support of Aaron Najarian, and I think it would be very bad precedent not to ratify him tonight. Thank you.
Next, John Bessona.
Yes, thank you. John Fasana, council member in Duarte. I was one of those at the last meeting that, based on the support of the San Gabriel Valley for the 710 project completion to allow the environmental study to move forward that did rise based on concerns expressed through San Gabriel Valley cities in opposition to Councilmember Najarian's renomination on the Metro Board. I do want to say at this time that having seen what is transpiring at this point, I also see that there may be an opportunity to send it back to the sector. There may be an opportunity to vote this evening. I think the most important thing, though, is to look for common ground. And Councilmember Najarian and I do serve on the Metro Board. We have held some discussions. Councilmember Najarian has acknowledged, and he can speak to you to confirm whether that's the case, the importance of allowing the environmental document to move forward toward ultimately, when the document is completed, when people have the information at that point, they can make a decision about whether to move forward or not. I think that that's an important thing. Councilmember Najarian also agreed with something else. I think that when on the Metro Board we are attempting to set policy on behalf of the multiple councils of governments we have, and when we're looking at the city of Los Angeles that controls an equal number of votes, that we probably need to look at a new process about how we can get our sub-regions to work together. We've been very successful as COGS in terms of developing policy, but one of the questions I think that comes to mind is, given that we also have a responsibility to the 87 cities at large, how do we pull that dialogue together? And Councilmember Najarian has indicated he's willing to work with me to look at a process that would really allow us to have a dialogue for the 87 cities. I will say there will be some people here that are offended by this. In my view, for the last 5 years, there is not majority support on the Metro Board for the subway being the primary project in Los Angeles County. The only way to see to it that resources are diverted or allocated fairly, even if not diverted, I mean, I think there has to be a subway extension. But I don't think that subway extension needs to be beyond the east side extension or the Gold Line or the Santa Ana branch. If our cities can find a way to take the issues of the sub-regions and work them together, we can be successful. And if Councilmember Najarian has indicated to me he's willing to work toward that, and if he's willing to do that, I think we can be very effective. We can walk out of here tonight with some unanimity, but also really strengthen the position of the 87 cities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Jason, and I can't read your handwriting last name, from the city of Lancaster.
Good evening, I'm Jason Call of the city of Lancaster. I have a sense that there's an overwhelming, or a sense of support for the council member to serve. I would ask that if that support exists today, it will exist when that conversation happens tomorrow. But all I ask is that you support the motion by the city of Palmdale, the city of Lancaster, to have that discussion again, so that we can have an open and honest discussion about who should serve the North County and how those issues should be addressed. So I would make that motion to support, or ask you for support.
Thank you.
Next speaker, R. Najarian.
Great to see such a full crowd here at these city selection committee meetings. Let's hear it for our chairman. It's not an easy job. So perhaps I'm at the center of this storm. I am R. Najarian. I'm a council member from Glendale. I've been on the council for 8 years. And 6 years ago, I wanted to help solve the transportation problems in Los Angeles County, and that's when I decided to run for the MTA board. And it was through your confirmation and the nomination of my sector 6 years ago that I was placed on the board, and I was reconfirmed 4 years ago. I really have a passion towards solving transportation problems in this county. I really do, and that's why I'm so adamant on this. I have a city council election that I've been running for, and a lot of people are telling me, well, what are you going through this MTA stuff for? It must pay a lot of money, right? No, you all know, you're all on boards and commissions. You know it hardly pays the gas money that it takes to get back and forth. I was chairman of the MTA 3 years ago, and in that time, we had before us the long-range transportation plan. That's a very important document. It's a document that tells the county and tells everyone else who's looking at the county where we want to go with our transportation projects. And there was a lot of divisiveness on the MTA board. Everyone had their own particular project that they wanted to bring in and exclude the other region's project. But it was through sitting down with all the members, such as John Fasana, such as Pam O'Connor, Diane Du Bois, and the mayor of LA, and all the county supervisors, that we realized that it's only through a strong, unanimous voice that our projects can get any traction when we go to Washington. And we passed our long-range transportation plan unanimously. And all of the important projects of the region were included. Yes, the 710 gap closure was in there. Yes, it was the Gold Line, but it was also the Subway to the Sea. It was also the Expo Line, the Orange Line, highways, and transit projects. And when we went to Washington to ask for money and advocate for our region, they listened to us. No longer could they say, oh, LA County, it's 6 on one, 7 on the other, we're not going to listen to you. But we stuck together, and by sticking together as a county, we got a lot of funding, millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars for our projects. Yes, I signed the ballot argument against Measure R. But I also voted to put Measure J on the ballot. John Fasana did also, Pam O'Connor, Diane Du Bois. I thought that even though the disbursement of the funds in Measure R to be continued by Measure J wasn't perfect, it was still something. It would still bring each one of our regions either a local return to your city or a regional return, or it would fund some of the projects that are important to you. The 710 gap closure, the Gold Line, and many other lines. I have always tried to be respectful and fair and to represent my sector. Now, John and I, and Pam and Diane and the supervisors, we don't agree on every issue. And as John stated, we did come to a strong disagreement on the 710 gap closure. I think it's time now that we let the experts work and study and prepare the data to review what is the true impact on the environment of the 710 tunnel. It's at that point that we can review it, read it as members of the public and elected, and go at it. And we'll go at it strongly. We're not going to roll over. Neither of us is going to roll over. But at least we'll have the